Today we're going to be checking out this. This is Link.io, a USB audio interface from Fender with some studio quality signal, headphone output, interface directly via USB-C. Connect your phone, your tablet, your Mac, your PC, and this is the back of the box, and this is what the actual thing looks like. So it's pretty tiny. It's the Fender Link.io. It's about the same size as the Mustang Micro. It's maybe a little bit fatter, but about the same size. Weighs a little bit more, feels substantial, let's say it that way. So this is an audio interface. We're going to plug this into my iPad and check out Fender Studio as well, which is a new DAW recording app kind of thing that's free from Fender that works on iOS devices, Android devices, and Mac and PC. We're going to plug it in and make some sounds and record some stuff. Timestamps for everything below. Also, if there's anything particular you want to see with this or with Fender Studio, let me know in the comments below and I'll see if I can do another video with it. And lastly, just want to mention this is provided by Fender, so this is what we'd call a sponsored video, and thank you to Fender. So let's begin by looking at this. So this is the Link.io by Fender. It's got a big dial up the front and a little light. The dial is a volume control for your headphone output, which is there. This is where you listen to stuff. You've got a USB-C port, and it comes with a USB-C to USB-C cable. Now, this is where you plug it into your mobile device, phone, computer, whatever you want to plug it into. That comes with that USB-C to USB-C cable, but you need to get a cable that plugs into whatever your device is if it's not USB-C. So if you use, for example, an iPhone has Lightning, that's what it's called, the cable that you plug into it. So you need a USB-C to Lightning cable. If you plug it into a computer and your computer doesn't have USB-C but you have USB-A, which are these ones, they look like that, you know, these USB ports, that's USB-A. You need a cable that is USB-C on this side and USB-A on the other side. So you've got to make sure it's USB-C for here into whatever your input on whatever device you're using is. So that's there. That's the front. And then at bottom you've got a guitar jack input. So this is where you plug your guitar in, where you plug keyboards in, where you plug a microphone in, whatever you want to plug in to get into your iPad or your phone or into your computer, whatever it is, that's where you plug that into. Now on this side of that, so that's the front, on the side, we have a pad switch, and it says on and off. Now what's a pad switch? So for example, often you might be plugging in things like, or not often, but let's say you want to plug in a microphone and you want to record a guitar amplifier. Now that's quite loud usually. What a pad does is it brings the input volume down, so the input gain, so it doesn't overdrive going in. Also often, maybe for example with guitar, if you're using passive or active pickups, that may, you may need to apply the pad. It's just a handy thing to have to drop the input volume. On the other side, so pads there, on the other side, you have a blend control. Now the blend control is a control that blends between the direct signals, so whatever it is you're plugging into it, you hear it directly, whatever that sounds like, and whatever it sounds like affected through whatever you're running it through on your device. The thing I always got to remember with this is an audio interface. This does not make any sound. This is just converting an analog signal that goes into here into a digital signal that then either goes into a portable device, into a computer, whatever it is, and all the sounds come from this. So this makes the sounds. We'll do a few examples later on. But yeah, the blend blends between your direct dry signal and the signal that comes out of whatever you're plugged into. Oh, and then on the back, which is actually also pretty cool, you've got these kind of rubber feet, and they actually work quite well. If you put it on the ground, they do kind of prevent it from slipping. And all up, I mean, it's plastic, but it feels substantial. That's all I'm going to say. I've only had it for a couple of days, so God knows what it's like if you use it for a year, 2 years, all the time, but it feels substantial, let's say it that way. All right, up next, let's plug it in. So let's put it here and plug it in. So I'm going to use it with my iPad, but like I said, you can plug it into any kind of mobile device, into any computer, and it should work. This is iPad Pro with a USB-C connection, but if it was any others, it would have to have a Lightning connection on this side, and then this is USB-C going into the top here. I'm using this cable with the right angle, so all the cable messes over there, purely visual. Light is on, it's connected, it's now connected to this. Up next, we're going to plug in headphones. Headphones go into here. Now this is where you plug in your headphones so you can hear what you're doing. I'm not actually plugging headphones in. This is going from here into my audio interface and then goes into my computer here and into Logic. I purely do this so I can monitor everything and record everything easily and simply while I'm filming. This is just to do with me filming. Otherwise, all you do is you're going to plug your headphones in here and hear everything through it. This is just because I'm filming and I'm doing lots of other things at once, and so I can muck around with stuff and you can hear the differences. And lastly, you plug this in. This comes from my guitar. So I've got my guitar going. There's a guitar tuner just sitting over there, down there, which is a Peterson Strawberry Stombachi tuner, and the guitar goes into that and then straight into this. So we got guitar going into there, or any instrument going into there, USB-C out into this, and then this is the headphones so you can hear what happens in here, but you've got a blend control so you can also hear the direct signal, if that makes sense. We'll get into all that in a second. So let's start off. So this is that for now, right? Let's now check out Fender Studio. So this is the app. As you start the app, this comes up. You've got the three little lines up the top here. This is sort of like a settings menu. You've got the audio setup, which you can go into. So it's, see, I prefer it to be 48K, so we'd set it to 48K. But basically, other than that, that's just what it is. Often you can just leave it the way it is. Usually, Apple stuff will kind of connect to it instantly and knows what's going on. Other devices, you may look into how to set up an external audio interface for it so it recognizes it. But most of the time, you just plug it in and it works nowadays. All right, let's look at Fender Studio. So you've got 4 main controls as you start it up. You've got open, you've got jam, you've got new, and you've got record. Open is where all your files live. So you've put down a whole bunch of ideas, you give them names, they're all in your files, where you open them there. Jam is where you can jam onto backing tracks, we'll come to that later on, timestamps below. New just opens up a new project, and record will go straight into recording. And let's start off with that, just to make it easy on us, right? I'm gonna plug in a guitar. I'm gonna plug in this guitar. This is my Fender Aerodyne Special Telecaster in lovely, isn't that lovely, in California blue, and there's a video for it up here. Now that goes via, like I said, my tuner, which is over there, into this, and then out of that via USB into here, and then this is where we hear what's happening. Now at the moment there's no sound, but, and I don't know if you can see it because blue and green are very close when it comes to cameras. It's blue at the moment. If I play, it goes green. So it knows there's input coming in basically, right? Okay, so let's go, just press record and see what happens. So the new screen comes up, it's red, it's recording, there's the stuff happening. So if I strum my guitar, it's a bit quiet in a room for me, I turn it up. They're the WAV files it's recording. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to record my idea. So right, let's say I have an idea. I'm going to strum a couple of chords, random chords. I press record, it goes to this. Let's play my idea. Let's say that was my idea. Let's press stop. There's the WAV file. It's all there. If I now press play, once it gets to the thing, there's the cursor. It'll start playing it. That's basically that. Now, as far as controls are, so you've got play, which turns into the square for stop. That's rewind. The round thing is record, and that's playing a loop. We'll get to that later on. You can set the keys. So for example, I was playing this in a key of A. So it tells you what the key is. There you go. You also have a metronome and time signatures and tempo, which you can set if you want to play along to certain time signatures and tempo. You can all set that all here. You have up here, you have the very first thing here is undo. You have redo. You have the little I, which if you click on that, it brings up basically information on that track. So if you have multiple tracks, it's the information on whatever track you have selected. The squiggly line is kind of a close-up of what you've recorded with some extra features where you can manipulate it. You've got your mixer, which if you have multiple tracks, there'll be multiples of that, but these are all your individual tracks, and this is your master volume out. And then you've got this, which is kind of your settings where if you want to save it later on, you go into all this and you can add bits. You can add an arranger track, for example, which is up the top. We'll get into all that later on. But basically what we want to do now, so this sounded very uninspiring. It sounded like a guitar going straight into a computer. let's make it sound more like a guitar. So what we're going to do is we're going to press I. So this brings up the information on that track. So here, for example, let's make it more guitar. Let's change the logo to a guitar. Let's call it Awesome Guitar. Hopefully spelled right. I want it to be, because it's kind of like a Prince kind of tune. It's kind of Purple Rain. Let's make it purple. Okay, now, and it shows you here, for example, so using the Fender Link IO and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it just shows you what you're using. You've also got compression and stuff here. You've got an EQ here, and you've got delay and reverb, which is a global delay and reverb, so like a mix bus, you can send an effects bus, not mix bus. So you can send, you have one reverb and one delay, which you can apply to all of the tracks individually, and you can see send how much you want into each track. We'll get into all that later on as well. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this thing where it says effect. No, we're not going to click on that. We're going to click on the thing where it says effects. Now here you have voice effects, guitar effects, bass effects, and none. So each one of those is specific effects specifically for that instrument. Guitar effects will give you a guitar amp and pedals that are specific for guitar. Bass effects will give you bass amps, or amp sims I should say, and effects specifically for that. And voice effects will give you specific effects for voice, so things like delays maybe, and reverbs and compression and all that sort of stuff. We're guitar players, we want to go guitar. It brings up this little window here now, and there's an amplifier there. So if I press play now, we've got an amp. By clicking on it, I can go into it and make adjustments to the knob. So that sounds pretty good to me. So let's add an effect to it. So if you click on it again, you've got input and output. Hopefully you can read it. There's a little plus there and a little plus there. If you click the plus there, it puts effects in front of the amp. If you click plus there, after the amp, you can drag and move them along. So let's add, for example, let's press play because there's a little gap here. I'm going to add a distortion pedal. So you've got distortion, fuzz, chorus, tremolo, delay, stereo delay, and 2 types of reverb. So I quite like that sound, for example. Let's also add, after it, let's add a reverb, maybe just a, I don't know, small hall reverb. Let's go back to the start of this. Here you can hear the reverb at the end. I also want to add maybe, what about like a tremolo or something like that? Let's add a tremolo to the start. Annoying thing is you kind of always got to go out of it to press play, but let's do the tremolo. I quite like that tremolo sound. Now you can move stuff around, so you just put your finger on it and drag and move stuff. You can also move the reverb if you want up in front of this. It's a clean amp, and you just you click on it, you do your adjustments, you click off it, and you're back into here. If you click on the amp, you can change the amp. So you've got a Bassman, a twin reverb, a bass breaker 15, and you've got a supersonic. I quite like that twin reverb the way it was before. Let's just go cancel and go back to that. But basically you've got this guitar track now, and it sounds kind of more like a guitar track. Now what I want to do is, my idea is there, and this is all just kind of empty space up the front. Let's get rid of that. So this is where you click on the squiggly lines. You get the close up here like this. So you can do a few things. There's a couple of things down the bottom too. You can add, you can transpose it. You can do all this different stuff. I'm just going to look at sort of the main things. You've got the little blue thing here. This is your main volume of the track. You can make it louder. You can make it quieter. You have the 2 blue things on the top right and left corner. If you move those, that's fade in and fade out. And you have these in the middle on the side, which if you move them, they're basically trimmers, so you can trim stuff. You can also, for example, if you move your cursor here, and there's a thing here that split, you can split that, and then if you select this, underneath it says delete, so we're deleting that bit. Now it hasn't actually deleted it, it's just not there. If you move that trim thing, it's still all there, so you can move that trim to here, just to get rid of all the other stuff. Now if you put your finger on it and hold it, you can move that now, so this is at the start again. So now if you press play, there's the thing, so it's there, right? And then if you want to do fade outs and all that stuff, and you can loop it, so you can click the little loop thing and select the thing up the top to loop it. Let's not worry about all that stuff. What I want to do now is I want to add a new track. So to add a new track, we're going to press plus, because I've got a solo over it. Now this goes into sort of a preset thing. You can try vocal presets, guitar presets, bass presets. That we want it to be guitar. Let's just press OK. So we have guitar here. Now let's look at presets here. So we've got a bunch of presets. Let's try, for example, supersonic crunch. So that's using the supersonic amp with a bit of crunch. What does this sound? Okay, so at the moment it still sounds just like my other guitar. Why does it sound like the other guitar? Okay, thing is, you have here, see that little red thing? So this is, you basically armed that track. If we click on that now, it's not red anymore. Now we don't hear that track. We want to hear this track. Let's arm this track. Now, that sounds really good, actually. Let's just leave it like that. But let's add now. Okay, so I want to add that kind of track delay. I want to add the delay that's sort of like an effect send that you can. That sounds pretty good. You can add a reverb too, but let's not worry about it now. So let's go back to this. I'll take that away. Now I'm going to record a guitar track over this. So let's just press record and let's record a solo. So in a key of A. So let's play something in the key of A. There you go. That was my cool little solo that I recorded. It's maybe a little quiet in the mix, so what we can now do is we can go back to the start. Let's turn the input thing off, so now no sound. Let's go back to this. There you go. Let's press play. There you go. There's my super cool little solo. I recorded my idea. All done. Now let's say I want to make an MP3 out of it, or actually I'm going to do a wave out of it so I can put it into Logic so you can hear what it actually sounds like on here. We're going into here. Let's go into export session. Now in export session you can select this. Now this, some DAWs will let you export all the tracks separately and then you can import it as a DAW file. I don't think it works with Logic currently. It may. Definitely know it works with PreSonus Studio One, because Studio One is also owned by Fender, so this is kind of like a baby version of Studio One from PreSonus. But we want to export it. Here you can choose whether you want it to be a WAV file, a FLAC file, or an MP3. I want it to be a WAV file. I want to call it number one hit. I don't know, that's what I want to call it. I'm exporting it. Now I'll ask you where to export it in here, so we can just save to files. It's saving to files, done. So now it's in my files on here, and while I was playing it before, you'll hear that version. That's what you would have heard before. It'll probably set it down the bottom as well. But that's that, right? And then if you click up here, you've got a little house. You click on that. That goes back to the beginning. If you want to go back to there, you go to new. I didn't rename it, but there's new session. That was the one I just did. That's that. It brings you back to here. You can rename it and call it whatever you want to call it. We're going to go back to this. So that's what open does, and that's what record does. If you press new, it just does the same thing. You can just select, let's say, you want to select a preset again. You're going into here. Okay, we've got to have that on. So let's say now, for example, let's look at the blend control. So we want something that's bass break and rock. So what the blend control does, the blend thing is basically you can, as you're monitoring it, you can turn, if you go all the way one way, all you're hearing is a direct guitar signal. If you're going all the way the other way, all you're hearing is what's happening in here. And you can kind of go in the middle if you want. So you can hear maybe more definition of what you're doing. And that's only for there. That's not for when you're recording. It's only for the headphone outputs. It's only what you hear in the headphone. I'm just going to keep it on all the way, just whatever's happening. So that's that. Now lastly, there's jam. If you go on jam, these are all jam tracks, multi-track jam tracks. That you can download onto here and jam along with. So for example, let's pick one that I did the other day. What about Jump Up? I don't even know what that is, but here we go. So Jump Up is this. So this is a track. Let's just make it less noisy. It brings in all these instruments, and it also has this thing up here called the session track or arranger track. So up here, if you can see, if you click that, not that, if you click arranger track on, oh yeah, here it is. Arranger track, it shows you. So intro, chorus, you can write whatever you want. You can even write chords and stuff in it. Also with this, you can zoom in and zoom out just by pinching. You can change the different colors. So now if I press play, it'll play me. So if I press S, that's soloing. That means it's just playing me the drum track. I can add the bass to it. I can have all the tracks. I actually mute it. There's a lead guitar track that muted. I've added my own track down the bottom. So it's just a jam track. I've added my own track down the bottom, which is this sort of thing. So it's a bass breaker with an overdrive and some reverb. I've got the delay from the channel strip delay thing going on again. It sounds like this. Let's record it and you'll hear the recorded version. Count in. and so on and so on and so on and so on. You basically got a track. You can play over it. You can jam along with it. I think this kind of stuff is a really good tool to practice. Well, I mean, it's for practicing improvisation, but also if you record yourself improvising and then record yourself again maybe a week later improvising over the same song and then comparing the two tracks, I find it quite interesting just as a practice thing to see, you know, how you feel differently about what you're doing and about the song like a week later and stuff like that. It's always interesting to record yourself and listen back to it. But I mean, that's basically in a nutshell, that is Fender Studio. Yeah, that's basically all that. Now, the thing is, you don't have to use it for Fender Studio. I'm just going to very quickly, let's do, for example, THU here. This is just another guitar sort of app. You can bring that up. And the volume down a bit. She sounded better with the volume up a little bit. So all I'm getting at is you can use it with anything. You don't have to use the Fender product with it. It's an interface and you can use anything that you have on here or anything that you have on your computer. You can use with this. It's just basically an interface. So yeah, and I mean, it's tiny, which is always a handy thing. You just plug it in, use whatever you want to use, and it works fine. All right, so that is the Fender Link.io and Fender Studio. Yeah, like I said, you don't have to use Fender Studio with this. You can use whatever you want with this. It's just an interface to go into here. This is a free DAW thing. Okay, so what about my 5 cents? So I think Link.io, it seems like it's well built. It's really tiny. I wish stuff like this was around when I did a lot of touring, which is before I had kids, which is about, you know, like 15 plus years ago. Used to do a lot of touring, used to go lots of places, used to do voice memos all the time if I come up with ideas, or you got to, you know, like laptops around and all that. It's just much more difficult. Now you can have a phone, that in your gig bag or in your anywhere. I mean, that doesn't take up any room. You stick that anywhere. You can do multi-track recording. All you need is a USB cable and one guitar cable in your headphones. One of the things now, I mean, you have to have wired headphones for this. Most people have the, you know, wireless ones, but I mean, you know, suffer and bring an extra set of headphones with this. But you can plug it in. I think this is really good. It's a very good little thing. I didn't feel any latency. I didn't feel any issues with this in terms of tone. I mean, the way it was hooked up here is a little bit weird because it's hooked up for most studio purposes and for recording this on video. But if you just have headphones, this is great. Studio One, it's free. It works, like I said, on iOS. It works on Android. It works on a computer. I'm sure there'll be more and more updates coming with Fender in the future. Everything is free. You get extra free features when you register, and registering is free. All you got to do is sign up for the Fender sign up, and you just email address and stuff. That's all you give them, and then you get extra things. I think originally you get 8 tracks. If you register, you get 16 tracks. You may get a few extra amps and stuff like that as well. I don't think you get all those amps and pedals if you just download the app, but if you register, you get extra ones. Anyway, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just register. I think it's quite good. I mean, the only thing, if there's one thing I would add to it, it is some sort of a way to get drums into it. You can't put any third-party VST or plugins or anything into it, so it's just whatever is built into it. Maybe down the track with updates, they'll add some sort of a drum thing, or even, I mean, you can get external, you can import external drum loops. It's not that big of an issue, but maybe having some sort of finger drum thing would be really cool, which may come in updates, you never know. But all up, it's free. The guitar sounds on it are pretty good, very reminiscent of what you get on the Mustang Micro, which I think is excellent. Yeah, so I think it's great. Stick it on your computer, stick it on your phone, stick it in your iPad. Thumbs up from me. Big thank you to Fender for sending this out to me. Sorry about my voice. I've got really bad allergies and I've got a cold at the moment as well, so my nose is all screwed up. So people whinge about my breathing, but you know, I can't do any better than this. I'm sorry, I've got allergies and a cold, so just get over it. Yeah, and if there's anything else you want me to do with this or with Fender Studio, let me know. Any questions, comments below. Check out this playlist of all Fender stuff here, and see you in the next one. Bye.